Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Just got a couple of minutes. We're going to be doing a beginner's practice this morning. We're going to focus on a couple of the foundational standing poses. There's no requirement to have any specific equipment, but if you do have equipment, then blocks or yoga bricks would be useful. If you don't have these, you can always use books. Essentially, they just bring the floor further up, closer to you to make poses more accessible. So if you don't have them, not a major problem. But if you do, fantastic. A strap, a yoga strap, just a fancy name for a long piece of material. So you could use a dressing gown cord, a tie, even a towel, a rolled up towel, anything at all really. And again, it's not essential. And then what would be really good is if you can find something, this is a small bolster, but a household cushion or pillow or anything like that will do. This is really, this is an important prop. You kind of want to sit yourself on this to begin with. So we want to find a comfortable seat to begin with. And I've just realized I haven't even introduced myself. So I'm Kerrina from Sacred Space Yoga, and you're watching Yoga Every Hour this morning. So we're going to start in a moment, but I want to find a comfortable seat to begin with. So it can be cross-legged, assembly style, in Sukhasana easy pose with one foot in front of the other. It can be kneeling. You can even prop yourself up against a wall. You can sit on a chair with your feet flat on the floor. There's so many options. Just find a place to, the important thing is that you want to be able to lengthen the spine. So we want that energy channel at the back of the body to be tall, which is why sitting on a bolster, a cushion, a pillow, a block, or even the edge of a chair, allows you to just have the position with the hips and the knees. So, beginning of class, we always take some time to arrive. So last week we looked at full breathing, full belly breathing. So expanding into the belly as you inhale and then pulling back as you exhale. We always breathe through the nose in yoga. If you've got any sinus problems or a cold or for any reason that's uncomfortable, then breathe however works for you. But if we can, let's try and get into the habit of breathing in and out through our nose. And then we're just going to take a couple of moments to arrive on the mat for our practice today. So just to leave behind whatever's been going on this morning, this afternoon, this evening, and just actually become fully present. So we're going to find this comfortable seat, and then we're going to take our shoulders up, back and down. So we have nice length and lifting up through the spine. And then our hands, we can either place our hands with the palms down on our laps, or we can turn the palms up and just join, make a seal with the thumb and the first finger and let the other three fingers relax. And then just gently let the eyes close. And then just take 3 deep breaths, however works for you. Just 3 deep, relaxing breaths. You can sigh those out if you like, in through the nose, out through the mouth, whatever works. Just feel yourself arriving for practice. Starting to draw your awareness inward. So our intention for today's practice is to be present. So we're in, and we're dwelling in the present moment. So when we first start yoga, our mind is active and it's going to try and take us away. It's going to try and rehash a past or maybe predict a future that hasn't come, rather than just dwelling here in this moment, this one moment, the only moment we truly have. And the mind is going to try and pull you in all directions. And I want you to use the mantra internally in your own consciousness. Every time your mind tries to take you away, just come back to the breath using the mantra. Breathing in, I am aware I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am aware I am breathing out. That will just ground you and anchor you back in this moment. Okay, we're going to take a little neck warm-up sequence this morning. So we need to make sure that we're nice and warm before we start moving into our standing poses of today. So from this nice tall position, if you need to shuffle around and move onto your knees, that's absolutely fine. So we're going to take a big inhale. And then as we exhale, just gently let the chin drop forward. So rather than crunching the neck at the front, shortening the neck at the front, try and extend the neck at the back. So we're a long neck at the back. Inhale, we're going to come up slightly. Inhale, and then lengthen at the front. And again, try not to squash at the back. And exhale, drop it down. Try and keep that length at both the front and the back of the neck through these positions. We're just going to move with our own breath up and down a couple of times, just starting to connect our movement and our breath. And then come back to center when you're ready. Good. Okay, we're going to come into the side of the neck now. So we're going to stretch this left side first. So we're going to move, almost slide the collarbone over, and then drop. So again, we're getting a nice length down both sides of the neck. Back to the center. Move the collarbone and then across. So in these positions, just move with your own breath. We're just trying not to collapse down into either side. And we're resisting this temptation to lift up. We're keeping the shoulders relaxed down. The scapula sliding down the back nice and broad. Nice slow moves to begin with. And then when you're even, come back to the center. Let's just give the shoulders a little bit of a wake up. So fingertips come on, rest on top of the shoulders. And then we're going to inhale, bring them up, back, and round. Nice and slowly here, so you can really feel the shoulders moving. You can feel the scapula broadening, dropping down, lifting up. And then you might find that there are some bits of tension in different parts of the shoulders, especially if you're active. So you might want to take a little bit of an extra time there and just work through any tension. Good, just a couple more of these. Okay, I've just noticed a big shadow come on to move my light. And the other way. Good. And let that go. Good. Hopefully that feels nice and loose. We're just going to come into, we're just going to do a moving stretch into the side body. So we're going to inhale, raise the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, drop the right hand down and just take a gentle lean to the right. Keep that top shoulder back. You don't want to come forward. Inhale, both arms back up. And exhale to the other side. Inhale, come back up. And exhale to the other side. Just move through this flow with your own breath. Just be careful that in the desire to get a nice deep stretch to the side, you're not lifting either sitting bone off the floor. You're staying grounded through both of the sitting bones. Nice and slow, nice and deep stretch. Just gonna do a couple more of these, quick twist, and then we're gonna come up and look at some standing poses today. Okay, make sure you're even, so make this the last round. And then come all the way back up. Okay, we're going to take our left hand, just a really gentle twist. So we're going to take our left hand onto the right thigh. We're going to lift up, nice tall spine. And then as we exhale, we're just going to turn and look over that shoulder. So just a really gentle move here. Don't yank yourself around. Be very gentle with yourself. And come back to center. And we'll go to the other side. So set the hand position first, and then take that lift up and out of the hips, nice and tall through the spine. And then just a very gentle. Don't drop down, don't lean into the back hand. Maybe just the fingertips touch the floor. And release, come back to center. Good. Okay, so last week we looked at cat-cow. We're going to revisit that now to bring ourselves up. So, come and find your tabletop position. So if you remember, in tabletop we had our hands directly underneath our shoulders and our knees directly underneath our hips. And then there was this. So, wide hands, spread the fingers wide. Middle finger points forward. And then not to dump the weight into the wrists. Press down. Thumb and first finger so as you get that nice gripping motion. Carpal tunnel is activated. Okay, we're going to take cat-cow. So as we inhale, we take the gaze up to where the wall and the ceiling meet, and we take a dip in the back. And then as we exhale, the floor away, arch the back, just like you would see an angry cat. And then inhale. So just move with your own breath here. And as the body starts to warm up, you might find that this move gets a little bit deeper. But just give it time. And then as you start to warm up, you can really use the power of the earth. So you push the floor away to give you this lovely recoil to arch the back. And then allow the tailbone to dip. Okay, let's just do this last one here. Okay, we're going to drop back into Balasana before coming into down dog. So you're going to take your knees nice and wide. Balasana is child pose. So you're going to take your knees nice and wide, almost as wide as the mat. Let the big toes come together. And then just melt the body through with the fingers and the arms stretched forward. So your forehead may touch down. If your forehead doesn't touch down, we want this to be nice and relaxed. And this may be where you use your prop again, a cushion, a bolster, a block, anything that might help. And then when you're here, when you're in Balasana, you're just allowing everything to soften forward. So it's not an active pose particularly. The hips are nice and relaxed. I mean, the arms might be active. You might be wanting to stretch further into the body by reaching the fingers forward. It just depends how your body feels. So feel into your own skin. See what feels nice. And then just check in. Whenever we take a pause, just check in, check where your breath is. Check where the mind is. Is it trying to take you off, or are you still connected? Are you in the here and the now, inhabiting the body, present in the space and the time? Okay. When you're ready, come and push yourself up to kneeling, and we're going to come through down dog. So we looked at this briefly last week. We're going to look at this every week. It's one of the foundational poses that we need to make sure it's safe and that we get right. So from tabletop, you're going to turn the toes at the back, and then you're going to press into the hands as you lift the hips up. So the sitting bones lift up. And then this is the first time we've been here, so you're probably going to want to keep a bend in the legs for now. And just let's take a small, slow walk of the dog. So we're lifting one heel and then the other. And we're starting to stretch into those hamstrings. Now everybody's hamstrings are going to be a different level of flexibility, natural flexibility, and then flexibility from actually moving them. So don't worry if your hamstrings are tight and your knees stay quite bent. That's perfectly normal. I'm not really a good barometer. I have a little bit of hypermobility in my legs, so please don't use me as a gauge. Just really feeling into this. Don't rush through it. Really explore, feel in. Good. We'll come back to this later in the practice. Now, it doesn't matter. We're going to make our way to standing. So it doesn't matter which way you go, whether you walk the feet to hands or the hands to the feet. Just come and find a forward fold position. We're going to take a ragdoll here. So we're going to take hold of either elbow. So the knees can be bent here, and we're just taking a ragdoll. So we're holding on to either elbow. Make sure the neck is still nice and loose. We haven't created any tension. And then you may even just take a little bit of a sway. Move the stretch around. Okay. And we're going to come up through a nice, safe, slow Pilates roll. So we're going to drop the hands, nice and heavy. And then bend the knees and just slowly roll up, just restacking the spine. And this looks really simple, but it's actually a really difficult move. And then the shoulders come up and back. Last thing of all. So that roll up and down is actually quite a key move. And it's not as simple as it might first appear. So let's take a couple of those, just so as we know where we have our feet hip distance apart. And we looked at Padabandha footlock very briefly last week. So let's just ground down into our feet. It's ever so important that our base of our pose is firm. So we lift all 10 toes and we fan them down one at a time. Good. So as you start to become more used to doing that move, you're going to get space between each of your toes. And then our knees are soft. So I mentioned that hypermobility. A lot of people have the ability to overextend their knees. So they go further than straight. We want to avoid that at all costs. So we want that nice, you'll get to know if that's you, but you want that nice soft bend. And then the shoulders begin up, back and down. And we're going to take that slow roll down again. So take a big inhale. And then as we exhale, we drop the chin towards the chest, just like we did at the very beginning. The shoulders start to round. And we slowly roll ourselves down. Now, if this is the morning, you might need to do a couple to warm the back up. I mean, we've done some cat-cow, so it should help. And then at the bottom, again, bend in the knees slowly as you inhale, roll all the way up. Just picture that spine restacking itself. And then the shoulders come up, back and down. And then as we exhale, let's do 2 more in your own time. Dropping the chin, shoulders round, almost folding in on yourself. As you roll all the way down. Doesn't matter how far you come, you might not come all the way to the floor. Good thing is when you get on your mat, don't have any expectations of yourself. Just see what your body is capable of that day, that moment. The best thing you can do is just learn what your body needs, and it's going to be different every day. You may have an idea of what your practice is going to be, and it may look completely different. Just learning to listen. Good. Let's stay up this time. Lovely. Okay, so hopefully you're starting to feel a little bit looser. Now we're going to look at some standing poses today. So we looked at sun salutation last week, Surya Namaskar. We will revisit that. But I want to look at Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. So we're going to stand in the center of our mat. There's many ways you can get into this. I'm just going to show you this one for today. As you continue your yoga journey, there'll be many ways to get into this pose. But from today, we're going to stand in the center of our mat, and we're going to take a nice wide stance with our feet. So when you begin, the tendency is to go very, very short because you're unsure of yourself. So maybe just go a little bit further, just a little bit further than you want to. It's usually a good barometer. And then we're all going to take our right foot and we're going to place that right foot straight. So it's going to be alongside the long side of the mat. And then the back foot is going to turn in slightly. So the toes are pointing somewhere into the diagonal of the room. So some people will say it has to be 45 degrees. It doesn't really matter, so long as your hips are comfortable. So we don't want our hips being twisted too much. Now, if it doesn't feel comfortable, then you widen the stance to come forward a bit. So to widen the stance, you just move the straight foot out closer to the longer edge of the mat. That gives you a wider base. So you can imagine if you were standing, let me just try and get the best angle for you here. Okay, so you can imagine if you were standing hip distance apart, by moving that front foot out a little bit, just gives you a bit more space. And in this position, it's that same thing with the hyperextension of the knees. Don't push the knees back. They're straight, but not over straight. Okay, and then lift the shoulders up, back and down. So we've got this nice length through the spine again. And then as you inhale, let's just float the arms up to shoulder height. Now in this position, the arms are active. So this doesn't work for everybody, but I find if I turn my palms up and then back down, I get a much better connection with my shoulders at the back of the body. So just try that as you inhale, lift the palms up, and then as you exhale, palms down. If you find that gives you any extra connection, then please use that as we go through the practice. And we're going to have this sensation of reaching through the fingers. So the front fingers are pulling away from you forwards, the back fingers are pulling away from you. So you have this expansion then across the chest. The chest is nice and wide. You've got an open heart here. One teacher, which is quite nice, she said the front arm is reaching into the future, the back arm is in the past, and your heart chakra, you here are in the present moment. So I quite like that, particularly with our theme. Think of it in that way. So reaching, and then we're going to take our gaze and we're going to, gaze is called a drishti in yoga. So there's always a drishti, and you're going to look down the middle finger of your front hand. So a focused gaze down the middle finger of your front hand. Then you're going to take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend the front knee. So you don't have to overbend. And then the important thing here, keep the arms where they are, sorry. The important thing here is that this knee doesn't rock in. So as you bring the knee in, kissed position, we want an external rotation. So have the sense of the energy of the knee pushing outwards. Good. So your knee is externally rotating. You're not letting it come in. If it has a tendency to come in, then just bring the knee up a little. Don't take the bend so wide. It doesn't need to be a really deep bend. And then just have this feeling of the arms reaching. Good. The angle isn't so great for you on this, but you get the idea. And then we just breathe here. So this is warrior pose. So we should feel strong, grounded, ready to go into battle. Good. And then inhale, straighten the leg, release the arms, give the shoulders a break, and step together. Just shake it off. So the key learning points with warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2, it's this knee. So we don't want the knee coming in. We want the knee going out. So we've got this activation at the side of the leg. So let's just shake that off. So hopefully you've got the sensation of that gaze giving you a strength. Okay, let's take them wide again. And then we'll go the other way. So set the feet up first. Take some time. Always take your time to set the foot position, because that's the base of your pose. So you want to get the foot position correct for the rest of your body. And it's going to look, I'm trying to find the right angle for you guys to see. I'll try and get straight on next week. It's going to look different for everybody. So that's one of the things that it's really important to learn straight away. Everybody's body is different. And we don't want a carbon copy. We want the pose that feels specific, especially in beginners. Okay, so the front foot is straight, back foot is pointing in at some kind of angle. And then make sure we don't have this overextension of the knees, they're soft. And then inhale, bring the arms up. If that shoulder activation helped you, inhale, palms up. Exhale, palms down. Turn, gaze down the middle finger of that front hand. Take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, drop in. So that sensation of the back arm pulling away, front arm pulling forward, and then the expansion across the chest, and then the gaze down the middle finger of your front hand. Good. Check that that knee isn't rocking in. Keep it over. So external rotating in the hip. Good. I keep looking. I'm used to seeing my students when I teach, and I keep looking to check people's position. Okay, good. Couple of breaths here. exhale, just release the hands, turn and step back to the center. Let it go. Okay, so last week we looked, just move that out of the way. Last week we looked at Trikonasana, triangle. So we're going to revisit that one. So I don't expect you, if you did last week, so I don't expect you to remember all of these. But in this 4-week series, I'm going to do the foundation. So if you've missed a week, then it's worth catching up. And then we'll start to get, we'll start to create sequences once we get past this, learning the basic poses. Okay, Trikonasana, triangle. So we're making triangles with our body in this pose. So we're going to take the feet into similar position, find what works for you. Okay, so I'm conscious that front arm is probably going to be better, or this going forward, but for today we're all set up, so we'll stick with where we are. So, ground down into the feet, and then take a big inhale, lift the shoulders out. So same kind of sensation with the arms reaching. Take a big inhale here. And then as you exhale, this back hip is going to tip out as you reach the front arm forward. So you're reaching that front arm forward, 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 forward. So you're getting this stretch across the side body. Both legs are nice and straight. And then when you come to the maximum pose, you're going to drop the front hand, the bottom hand in front, and then stack the top arm. Now this is where these lovely props come in useful. So if you have blocks, you can place the block and it allows you just to get the stretch into the side body. And you can have it in front, behind. If you've got a little bit more stretch, you can drop down. So blocks are just great at bringing the floor up to you, which allows you to feel the pose in a different way. If it's too much for the top shoulder, doesn't matter. You can just drop the back arm down behind. Just make sure that you don't lean this shoulder forward. Keep it back. And then the gaze traditionally is up underneath the armpit of the top arm. Or you may look forward or down. Again, find what's comfortable in your body. And as I say, you can move this to any position. Trikonasana. And then if you have the top arm lifted, try and have, doesn't work so well on this view, try and have the arms, shoulders stacked in a nice straight line. Okay, and then every single time coming out of the pose is just as important as going in. So you ground down into the feet, send the energy down into the earth, and then strong through the core. Lift the arms, release. And then we'll move to the other side. Actually, let's shake, give the legs step together. Let the legs shake out. Just let go of that pose. So I don't want to carry anything from that side over to the other side. So just let it go. Good. Let's go to the other side. So, nice wide stance. The other foot is forward this time. Back toes turn in. If you're using your block, choose where you're going to place that. Inhale, bring the arms up, reach through the fingers. Exhale, tipping that back hip as you're reaching that front arm forward. And then we drop the top arm down, the bottom arm down, stack the top arm. So we're going for this length here across the side body. And then we're not letting this arm pull forward. We're keeping that shoulder back. So we're expansive here through the chest. And if this top arm is too much, drop it down behind you. Maybe take hold of the thigh or just drop it down behind you. Just make sure this doesn't come forward. Good. And then gaze, drishti point up, forward or down. Whichever is going to work best for you. And if you're not sure, try them all. Lovely. Okay, strength down through the feet, ground into the feet. Put belly button in towards the spine, nice and strong through the core. As you inhale, release. Step together, shake it out. Good. Okay, how are we doing? Half 7. I think I'm probably going to forego Serena Muscar today. I think I'd rather look at tree. So, balancing pose, tree. Balance can be different day on day. So, just because you find that one day you're nice and balanced, try not to have too many expectations of balance. So I always find that if you can be close to a wall, then the support is there if you need it. And if you don't need it, that's great. The other thing to mention is balance is harder on carpet. So last lockdown, my students, when we went back into the studio, balance had improved dramatically, because trying to balance on something that's soft and deep is a lot harder than balancing on wood. So give yourself a break, essentially. Okay, so I don't mind which side you choose to do first, but I do mind how you get into it. So whichever side you choose, you're going to lift the toes and fan them down. So again, you've got that nice grounding down into the foot. Always the same cues, softness in the knee. Let's take our heel, the opposite heel to the ankle, and then let's just find length. So we're nice and tall, shoulders up, back and down. Let the weight drop into that foot, ground down. Then you're going to choose your drishti, your gaze point. So you're going to choose that point you're going to look at that isn't going to move. Don't choose me. So find that point that isn't going to move. Allow your focus to rest there. Just test what your balance is like today. So begin by bringing the stream's going. Begin by bringing the heel to the calf. If that feels okay, you might bring it up a little higher. Try to avoid pressing on the knee joint. And then we looked at this last week. We have this sensation of the foot pushing into the leg. So you've got this strength in the standing leg, and the feet, so the foot, I should say, is grounding down. So if you imagine roots, it's tree, you imagine roots growing down, and you've got your focus on that point that's not moving. And then the hands, come and place the hands together, a prayer at the heart, and again, press the hands together. So at the moment, we're really active. We're pressing the hands. We have energy going from the right and the left side of the body. We have the grounding down of the foot into the earth, using the power of the earth to allow us to have this gentle balance pose, strength and ease, perfectly balanced. And as you stand, try not to let this, so what happens is as you balance, the leg can have a tendency to lock out. Keep it soft. If you imagine a stiff thing moving, it's going to be harder to balance than if you've got a little bit of a sway. Okay, and come and touch down. Good, shake it off. So whatever happened on that side, let go of it. Whether you had a perfect balance, whether you were struggling, just let go of it as we move and prepare for the other side. So lift the toes, fan them down, soft knee, and then begin with heel and ankle. Choose your gaze point, nice tall spine. Take the foot to the calf. That feels okay. And bring it up further, pushing the foot and the leg together, and then taking a hand position. If you find that the foot just keeps sliding down the leg, you need to press together more. So you often get this, you often get this you see people with the foot just slipping down the leggings. It's because you're not pressing together. So you want the foot to press into the leg. You can almost dent into the leg. And release, come down, shake it off. Good. Okay, we're going to come down through Malasana, because Malasana or Hindi squat, this is a great position to take. It's really good for you. Kind of the antidote to all of our seated in sofas. So in the West, we're not very good at this, me included. So let's just, for me, so I have tight heel cords. Now, I've been doing this pose for 20 plus years, and I still can't get my heels to the ground. I know some of you will just drop down into it and be really comfortable, but if you're not, if you're like me, you're going to want something just underneath the heels, just to give you that little lift. Or you can keep the heels lifted if you're strong enough, but it's nice to have something to lean on. So your feet are hip distance, maybe a bit wider, toes pointing out. Bring the hands to prayer at the heart. We want to try and keep the back straight through this move. So take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, point the knees out. So as we come down, the knees are pointing out. We're keeping a nice tall spine as much as we can and dropping into the hips. Good. When you reach there, when you reach your Malasana, you might want to move around, or you might keep the hands, the knees away with the elbows. Just enjoy this. It's not the most comfortable position for me. Some people can just drop into this no problem. So I think I need to do this one a little bit more. Although I have made progress over the years. Sometimes your body just isn't made for a certain pose. And that's okay. Good. Just relax into it here. Or move around. Make it your own. Let's take some time to drop down here. Make sure you're back with the breath. Have you forgotten the mantra? Breathing in, I'm aware I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware I'm breathing out. Good. And release, just come and find your way down. Okay, it's very difficult for me to see. I've got this really bright studio light shining in my eyes. So I'm having a bit of a Saul on the road to Damascus moment. I'm trusting that you're still there. Okay, we're going to look at Paschimottanasana. I think we looked at this last week. I didn't review my class plan. I think we looked at this last week. So, forward fold. So we're going to try and find our sitting bones. We want to be sitting on our sitting bones, so you have this sensation of grounding down. And then we want the legs to be active, so we don't want them just flopping out to the side. We want the legs together, and we want the toes pointing up. So just as if you were stood, we did. Just as if you were stood on a floor, so if you were stood on the feet, so they're active. And as you do that, if you relax and then pull them active, you'll be able to feel why. You'll feel all of the different muscles in the legs start to switch on. So it's very different. And then we're gonna, so as we grind down through our sitting bones, we lift our shoulders, take them up, back and down. So we're nice and tall in the spine. Now our hands, Dandasana, our hands at staff pose, our hands are either hips. If your arms aren't long enough, you might choose to use blocks, or you can choose to just rest them on the thighs. The important thing is that we have this tall spine. Feet are active. Our drishti is towards the big toes. And some deep breaths here. So this perfect posture, this should be a really comfortable position to sit in. Again, for most of us, this is work. but we're working all those postural muscles. So the trapezius are pulling our shoulders up, back, and down. All the small muscles around the spine are working to keep us upright. The intercostals, the muscles, the lats at the side of the body, they're switched on to keep us in this nice, tall, elevated position. And the leg, as you can feel from when you rolled the feet, the leg muscles are switched on. There's quite a lot going on here. We're going to turn it into a forward fold. So as we inhale, we're going to lift the arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, just relax the shoulders. So don't be all scrunched up, let the shoulders relax. It's going to look different for all of us. And then next inhale lifts us up and out of the hips again. So we lift up and out, we're really tall. And then as we exhale, we just reach forward with the fingertips. Please don't worry about going down. Just have that sensation of reaching into the future, reaching forward with the fingertips, if we keep that analogy from earlier. And then eventually, the hands will just touch down. They may touch the thigh, they may, they can touch anywhere, it doesn't matter. And then we're just going to relax here for a few breaths. So if you're at the feet, take your first two fingers and the thumb and create a loop around your big toes. And just relax forward. So when we come into this forward position, we're rolling over the head of the femur rather than having this sensation of punching the back in. So it's length. Good, just relax here. Okay, good. Let go of whatever you're holding on to. Roll yourself up. And then we're coming down with knees bent. So just shuffle forward, bend the knees, and allow yourself to roll down. Okay. I'm going to do a little quick hamstring stretch here. So if you have your strap, you might want that now. You don't have to have it. But if you have a strap, you're going to place it around the ball of the right foot. Try not to place it in the arch. Just place it around the ball if you can. Have the shoulders relaxed down. And then just start to pull the knee in. So little hamstring stretch. And you may slide the opposite leg away. If you don't have a block, you're working, a strap, you're working with holding behind the leg somewhere. And again, we have this sensation of the active foot. So as if you are stood on the floor, the foot is active. And we're going to floss through the hamstring here. So as we inhale, we're going to point the toes up, straight across the front of the foot. And then as you exhale, pull the toes down towards the face. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. If you're holding onto the leg, you might even be able to feel the muscle moving. You might be able to feel the belly of the hamstring actually moving under your fingers. Be careful not to dig your fingers in. Be gentle. Okay, make this your last one. And then hugging the knee in, holding behind the thigh, across the shin, whatever works. Just give the knee a little hugging. Maybe roll the ankle here, ankle circles. You can go both ways. And get rid of any snaps, crackles. And then just place the right foot down as you bring the left in and swap straps or just hold behind the leg and maybe straighten the right one out. See if it feels nice to straighten it out. If it creates any tension in the lower back, just keep it bent. Just be aware of every time you make a move, just be aware of, does that add to the pose or does it take away? And then just come back or go ahead. Okay, let's floss through this leg. So point the toes, pull them down, just stretching in. So I'm training at the moment for a charity race. It's not a race, charity 100 miles across February. I haven't run since my marathon days. And my hamstrings are pretty tight, it's fair to say. Okay. And then pull the knee in. Have that little roll around with the ankle. Good. Just go both ways. And then bend both knees in. Give yourself a hug. Have a little roll around. You can go side to side. You can go circles. The thing is with beginners classes, they go so quickly. But it's important to spend time getting the foundations right. Okay. Bend the knees. Let the legs come outstretched. We're coming into Shavasana. They're coming into your final relaxation pose. I think what I'm going to do actually is, I think the last week we'll do a workshop concerning the scar. So just come and find your comfortable Shavasana. So you're going to be lying flat. You're going to have your feet apart, and you're going to let the ankles roll out to the side. Shuffle the shoulders down into the floor so they're nice and comfortable, and then the arms are going to be alongside the body with the palms facing up. And then keep the head in line. So just check that you haven't gone off to one side while you're adjusting yourself, so your spine is still in. Shavasana is really important. So the temptation when we're busy is to skip Shavasana, particularly when you're a beginner because you don't necessarily know the power of it. So try not to skip your Shavasana. If you haven't already, you can gently let the eyes close. Soften the eye sockets. So make sure that you're not squeezing the eyes together. I'm just going to turn the music off. Make sure you're not squeezing the eyes together. Check that the jaw is soft. So if you're not sure, just move the jaw side to side. Let it relax. Couple sighing breaths, so big deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. As you let go of the breath, feel any tension ebbing away from the body as you allow yourself to be completely relaxed into your mat. We're just going to take a gentle work through the body from the feet upwards. So there's nothing for you to do here. You just need to maybe mentally repeat the instruction and just allow that part of your body to soften. So beginning down at the feet. I relax my feet. I relax my feet. My feet are relaxed. I relax my calves and knees. Relax my calves and knees. My calves and knees are relaxed. Relax my thighs. Relax my thighs. My thighs are relaxed. Relax the belly. Relax the belly. My belly is relaxed. My chest. My chest. My chest is relaxed. I relax my shoulders. I relax my shoulders. My shoulders are relaxed. I relax my arms and hands. I relax my arms and hands. My arms and hands are relaxed. Relax my face. Relax my face. My face is relaxed. I allow my whole body to completely relax. Every exhale, I allow myself to relax a little deeper, to soften a little more. I'd like you to stay here for a couple of minutes before carrying on with your day or your evening. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.